After Neversoft released Pro Skater 2, the next set of consoles were on their way, and Neversoft was excited, like a lot of other companies, to use the new power and new storage mediums that were brought with these systems. Pro Skater 3 and 4 gave players a taste of what was to come with the future of the Tony Hawk games, with both games having their own identities, while still retaining a lot of the fun parts its predecessors had. So many iconic changes were introduced in both games, so without further ado, let's give a deeper look to both these games and compare and contrast them to understand how Neversoft evolved the series and also went back in a few ways. Alright, let's go over some of the new features brought about with both games, starting off with Pro Skater 3. First of all, reverts. Whenever a player comes back down from a quarter pipe or half pipe, they can continue their combo by reverting. This was such a good addition. A big part of Pro Skater's fun comes from being able to pull off sick combos and using the mechanics to their absolute potential. So reverts allowing for players to implement quarter pipes into their combos is genius. Players can easily rack up points with this. This game also introduced NPCs to the series, so the levels seem more lively with the amount of people just wandering about, and some goals even involve using the passerbys to get things done. As a matter of fact, both games have so much more detail to them because of the new console's power. Instead of showing all the goals on the loading screen, this game shows the goals in game with a small cutscene for each goal, which not only is convenient, but is great for players because it gives a small hint as to what they have to do. It gives them a push, but then they'll have to do the rest of the work. Anyways, Pro Skater 3's unlockable system is pretty close to the first two games, where players unlock everything every time they complete the career with a single skater, but this time, players will unlock all the secret characters first, while also unlocking a few of the levels from the first Pro Skater, then they'll unlock all the cheats. And of course, they also get an FMV of the skater busting out some tricks. Pro Skater 4 has a lot of the same features from its predecessor, but it gave the series major tweaks to its formula. Spine transfers allow for players to go from one quarter pipe to another by defying physics. Flatlands are manual tricks, as once the player does a manual, they can hit certain button combinations, and they'll either change their stance or do a certain trick with their board. There's many games in just about each level that, true to their name, are small distractions from skating. This game also introduced combo goals, where players must pick up the letters of the word combo without losing their combo. Players will have to follow a certain path in order to successfully get every letter. Once players are done with the main goals for the levels, there's a couple more that each map has that are harder in nature, and as such, give more money. Speaking of tough challenges, each of the pro skaters has a specific challenge that pertains to their style that requires the player to do a certain feat or feats in order to beat them. And, my favorite addition, was the ability for players to realign with the surface below them, so they don't bail if they're facing sideways when they're about to land. This becomes so useful when doing a lot of tricks near half pipes, especially considering Pro Skater 4's physics. Pro Skater 4, like the second game, has a cash system where players buy everything with money, even people. That's messed up. The only two things that can't be unlocked with money are the pro skating FMVs, which we'll get to later, and the skill points, which are rewarded after the player does a certain amount of challenges. Also, both games brought more grab, flip, lip, and grind tricks, which is just a given for the series. So in essence, Pro Skater 3 took the formulas of the first two games, made a better skating system, improved the goals, and used the power of the new generation of consoles to create more in-depth levels. Pro Skater 4 made the goals non-linear, so players have more control over their progression, brought back the cash system, and added the specific skater challenges to really make pro players put their money where their mouth is, and create even more variety for the game due to how different they are from one another. Personally, I always like Pro Skater 4's system more. I think it allows for more variety, and gives more control to the player over what they want to do. If the player doesn't want to do a collectibles challenge at the moment, they can come back to it as they move on to something that's more exciting and engaging. Pro Skater 3's goals of progression are a lot of fun, so doing them over and over again doesn't get tiresome until the player's at the very end, and even then, they're allowed to use their newly acquired cheats to spice things up. While some of the specific skater challenges were a pain in the ass, I'm looking at you, Margera and Burnquist. Most of them are quite fun, and really push the player to do their absolute best. I will say though, some of them are also quite easy like Kareem's, but at least they're still fun. Not to mention, Pro Skater 4's physics just feel smoother and looser. I really feel like I can keep a combo going on and on in this game, rather than Pro Skater 3's tighter controls. It wouldn't be a Pro Skater game without the secret characters, so Pro Skater 3's got Darth Maul, Wolverine, Demoness, a female demon, the Xbox version has a skeleton named X-Ray, and the PC version has Doom Guy from, well, the Doom games. Oh, Officer Dick, Ollie the Magic Bum, and Private Career are back too. Pro Skater 4 has Jango Fett, the infamous bounty hunter from Star Wars Episode 2, Eddie, Iron Maiden's mascot, Mike Vallely, a regular skater, and Daisy, a scantily dressed woman with large anatomical features. Pro Skater 3 has the cooler skaters. Like, how can any gamer pass up Wolverine, Demoness, Darth Maul, or Neversoft Guy? They're so cool. And if you have an Xbox, you get X-Ray, and I like X-Ray a lot. I have a soft spot for skeleton characters, a bias I've shown in the past. Also, Kelly Slater having a surfboard as a skateboard is funny and works perfectly with the series humor. It's also nice to have the pedestrian skaters as separate selectable characters, rather than having to create them with the custom skater ability in the second game. On Pro Skater 4's side, well, Django Fett and Eddie are cool, but Mike Valley is just another professional skater, so I don't know why he's a secret character. And Daisy is pretty much this game's Private Carrera, so yeah, this cast isn't as unique or as flashy as its predecessor. I will say though, Django Fett's grab special is overpowered. It allows for the player to get so much air, and they can spin around a lot with it, so their points will skyrocket with this move. It's probably the best special move out of the whole series. Speaking of skaters, let's talk about the custom characters next. Players were given a lot more customization options in both games, including more clothing options, more flexible body modifications, and the ability to completely edit the skater's information. Pro Skater 4 even has special pieces of apparel for the custom skaters. What else can I say except more variety is good, and it's nice players are able to really make a skater in their likeness, or make a skater that's a complete abomination. Before I finish up the gameplay section, let's mention the cheats. They're fine. A lot of them are the same cheats from the first two games, but I do like some of the new ones that make the gameplay crazier, like the first person mode of Pro Skater 3, where players are really going to have to understand their position and tricks, and the sim mode of Pro Skater 4, also known as expert mode of Pro Skater 3, which makes the physics closer to real life with stricter gravity, faster speeds, and it's easier to bail when grinding or while doing a manual. Sim mode is quite fun to use for certain challenges, like the roller coaster gap in the fourth game. So chaotic. It's just great. On with the visuals, let's talk about the levels next. With the power of the new systems, Neversoft didn't have to use fog to hide the levels for the consoles to be able to handle the maps, so the layouts are now completely out in the open, and this allows for a good amount of change to the levels. With the fog in the first two games, well, not terrible. Here's some things that were right in front of or to the side of the players, but since the fog is no more, Neversoft's used this to highlight pieces that are far from the player to show them what they can use, and can keep many set pieces close to one another, because the player won't just suddenly run into them now that they can really see everything. This new power allows for things like the Alcatraz level in Pro Skater 4 to have many levels of elevation, and bigger, more complex hidden areas. Speaking of which, one thing I really liked in both games was the player can get on top of just about everything. There's always a way to get higher and do some cool tricks while you're up there. In my opinion, Pro Skater 3 has the better levels. They just work better, have a better flow, and have superior structures. Everything just connects. Players can seamlessly skate about and perform all kinds of tricks. Pro Skater 4's levels aren't bad, they have some good level design, but I feel like a lot of it plays into the career mode a little too hard, so some of the structure only works well for the missions, and not for those that just want to skate about, or for those that want to hit sick combos and get the highest scores. Not to mention, some Pro Skater 3 levels had some cool secret areas that weren't really in its successor. Really, the only secret area I could think of is the aquarium in the zoo level, and even then, it's not that cool. Compare that to Tokyo's secret area, which is this cool neon-filled skate park that is just so nice to have. The areas that are unlocked for Pro Skater 4 feel too connected to the rest of the level, and I get why they did that. They wanted to show how nice it was that the map was continuous, and there was so much players could do in terms of getting around the levels, but this really discounted the coolness of its secret areas, so Pro Skater 3's levels really shine in this department. And speaking of the levels, don't even get me started on Chicago. That level just sucks. Do I need to explain why a level made for a BMX game doesn't work for a skateboarding game? Almost as if they're totally different sports with their own momentums and physics. Not to mention, there's one too many collectible challenges in this level, and as I mentioned before, these missions are quite boring, so when a level has like 4 of them instead of the usual 1 or 2, it really devalues itself. I find this funny because the other bonus level, the Carnival, is actually really fun with its goals. Most of them use the Carnival's features quite well, and some have the most unique challenges in the game. Chicago has a few missions that utilize the bridge, one too many pickup challenges, and goals that are pretty similar to the ones in the base level, so it's really nothing special. I think they should have just replaced this map with the previous Pro Skater level, like either of the school levels from the first 2 games, and had both classic and new goals. It would have worked a lot better than Chicago. It would have been a nice callback to the games that started it all. I also wish the 4th game had more maps that took place outside the US. The last 2 entries had 4 maps each that took place outside of the states. but London is really the only level in Pro Skater 4 which explicitly states it's not part of America. Having other countries as levels added to the game's variety and uniqueness, so it's kind of a letdown Pro Skater 4 was mostly within the US. Okay, one more quick thing. I want to mention the Xbox exclusive Pro Skater 3 level, the oil rig, because it's quite cool, has a good amount of depth, flows well, and there's plenty of ways to traverse and skate around the map. Just wanted to bring it up to further showcase the genius of the third game's levels and give the map some praise. In terms of the other parts of the visuals, the animations are pretty fluid in this game. The skaters' movements are quite human. Everything is smooth, not clunky like the PS1 games were. Anyways, Pro Skater 4 reeks of early PS2 games in some of its visuals. Like, when the characters speak, their mouths don't move, and it just looks so awkward. This is because their face models are a flat image, so obviously they can't move, or else it'll look even weirder when they speak. The menus for both games are cool though. Both games take place in one area, and the camera changes to different spots in the vicinity. The selected character has their own idle animations, and everything is so smooth and fluid. Getting from one place to another is quick, and the player won't have to wait for the sluggish menus of the first two games. Before we move on to the visuals, I just wanted to bring up that both games had FMVs of the Neversoft crew trying to skate, and these videos are awesome additions. They're real wholesome videos of the staff having some fun, as they mess up even the most basic of tricks. It's nice to know Neversoft can make fun of themselves and show the fans some of the shenanigans that goes on in their offices. Heck, the PC port of Pro Skater 3 even has the staff of Gearbox, the team that ported the game, doing some skateboard tricks and messing around. I always wish these appeared in later games. They're highly enjoyable pieces that add on to the spark and charm of these games. Alright, let's get on to the oh so memorable soundtracks. Pro Skater 3 was pretty much an extension to the genres from its predecessor. They got punk rock, hip hop, and some rap. Maybe it's just me, I don't feel like any of the soundtracks after this game were as memorable as the first three games. And everybody talks about songs like Superman and Police Truck from the first game, May 16th and Guerrilla Radio from the second game, and 96 Quite Bitter Beings and If You Must from the third game, but I don't feel like anybody brings up the songs from games past this point, except for maybe some of the covers from American Wasteland. I feel like Pro Skater 4 had good songs that fit with the radical nature of skating, but they don't work that well with actually skating. Like, as much as I do like Shimmy from System of a Down and Number of the Beast from Iron Maiden, I don't really think they're that appropriate for a skating game. I think Neversoft wanted to put more songs into Pro Skater 4 to show off the new storage capabilities of the DVD, not including the GameCube of course, but in doing so, threw in some songs that weren't really fitting for the feel of the games. Alright, let's talk about a positive next. Both games allow for players to toggle which songs they want and don't want to play during gameplay, and it actually shows the artist's name and song instead of just its track number, which is good for me because I lost the manual for this game and I don't want to sit through the credits, so now I know what I'm listening to, or at least I know which tracks are going to play. Neither game has something that shows which song is playing. Okay, before we move on, I just want to mention the music from and inspired by Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 album, which, true to its name, has songs from and not from the soundtrack, only because some of the songs in that album are really good and totally fit with the game's vibe, but weren't included. First, shout out to Neversoft for making this. I found out about Pennywise and Pressure 4-5 from this CD, two bands I really like. Secondly, why didn't the bands in the CD not get into Pro Skater 4, or any other future games for that matter? They were perfect for a spot in the soundtrack, so it boggles my mind they didn't get in one way or another. Anyways, let's discuss a few more things about the sound department. Since there is passerbys in both these games, they will make noise if the player gets too close to them, and speaking of which, Pro Skater 4 has dedicated voice acting, and Neversoft even got the skaters in the game to voice themselves, which is really cool and added a lot of charm to the game. It actually felt like Neversoft really wanted players to feel like the skaters were involved with this game and cared about skating. Another neat thing about the voice acting was the other skaters and photographer will call out whichever skater the player is currently using.
Hey, Alyssa!
Pro Skater 3 and 4 were really good takes on how to use the power of the new generation systems for the previous game's formulas. If you want a more classic take on the series, Pro Skater 3 perfects the form of the first two games with a smooth skating physics and an engaging progress system, while Pro Skater 4 decides to take a new spin to freshen up the franchise and give it some new spark, so players don't get bored with the same old goals. While I do like Pro Skater 4's gameplay more than its predecessor, Pro Skater 3 pretty much perfected every other aspect. It has a lot more charm than its successor, so it's hard for me to pick a favorite because of how good each one is, but if I had to choose, I would choose Pro Skater 4, only because I like the goal system a lot more, and that's what really matters to me. Not to mention, every other aspect is good. Not as good as Pro Skater 3's, but they still hold up. That's all I have to say for these games, and yes, I'm aware the PS1 and Nintendo 64 versions of these games are quite different than their PS2 counterparts, but all I wanted to do for this video was to compare and contrast these two games. I feel like putting them in this review would have kind of screwed things up, but I think one of these days I'll get to them, because from the little I played, they are clever in the way they use the limitations of the older systems in order to be as close to Pro Skater 3 and 4 as possible, but also be their own thing. Otherwise, have a good day, and skate on!